honorable members, our officials, and our department with its agencies.
Recording in progress.
You are warmly most welcome into today's meeting after the recess. Some of us did not rest. We were working in Parliament, but you are warmly welcome. I believe today's meeting will bear fruits since we're going to receive your strategic annual performance and the budget plans of the department as well as of our agencies. So you're warmly welcome. I invite your constructive ideas which will build this department as well as assist our society on the ground. So without a waste of time because of issues of load shedding, I will zoom to item 2, which is roll call and apologies. You are warmly welcome. The meeting is officially opened. Braking, can you take us through to the next item quickly?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, TG and the CEO of Sefa, and good morning, colleagues. Chairperson, I have received the apologies, firstly, of Honorable Mieni, who will not be able to attend due to attending the oversight with the Portfolio Committee on Tourism. And then I've got an apology of the Minister, which her office indicated that they are hosting a small business, I think it's something like that, with the President, and then also received the apology of the Deputy Minister, which her office also indicated that she is out of the country attending a training. So those are the apologies that I received, Chairperson. And before I let you talk, there's a hand from Honorable Mabiga.
Honorable Nadine.
Good morning, Chairperson and everyone on the platform. Still on the apologies, I just want you to note that due to the load shedding, I may start struggling to connect as from 11 as per the ESCOM schedule.
Noted, honorable member. Thanks, Ebra King. Apologies noted because they are still doing something in relation with our work. Now we'll move to the next item, which is adoption of the agenda. Can I have a mover from honorable members?
Before you move, Chair, I also see the hand of Honorable Mtenjane.
Honorable Mtenjane.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the colleagues. Yeah, Chairperson, I think I want to report the similar problem with the issue of load shedding here. There will be a lot also.
Okay, Honorable, we heard you. Thank you. Can we proceed with the adoption of the agenda? And I will also request our officials from both the department and agencies to be business-like, highlight certain issues because documents were received by our good selves so that we are able to conclude the business of the day together because we need to adopt these recommendations before us. Can I have a mover for the adoption of the agenda?
Chairperson, I move for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you. Any seconder?
I do second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Shomelang. Let's proceed to the next item, with consideration and adoption of the 2023 second term committee program. Can you take us through, Comrade Braking?
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry for that. Chairperson, this is the proposed agenda and a proposed program for 2023 second term committee program, which then it is aligned to the program of Parliament, which indicates that we are starting today, which this week has been reserved for committees and oversight. And we can also say that the priority for this term, it is the getting briefings and the consideration of the department strategic annual performances and budget plans. So as we are sitting today on Tuesday, it is because we are doing the strategic and annual performance and budget plans for the department and the entities. So for today, we'll be receiving those briefings from Sefa, and then tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll be receiving the briefings from SEDA, Small Enterprise Development Agency, and the Department of Small Business Development. Then on the 3rd of May, we'll be getting, trying to make a follow-up on the issues that transpired in the oversight in the Northwest, as per the resolution of the committee that was taken there, that we must have a follow-up with those entities or enterprises that were not on site. Then on the 10th of May, we'll be considering the budget vote report and trying to adopt it, because on the 16th of May, it is the day for the budget vote 36 of the department debate. Then the 17th of May, we'll be looking at then considering the oversight report of the Northwest Province. On the 24th, we'll be getting the 22-23, sorry for that mistake, 22-23 Q4 performance report of the department and entities. Then on the 31st of May, we'll be looking at the access to finance through the banking sector. And then on the 7th of June, we'll be looking at receiving the framework for the implementation of the recommendations emanating from the Northwest oversight. And then on the 14th of June, we'll be trying to hold a seminar where we are looking at the future of social economy and SMMEs, looking at the impact of load shedding, solar panel SMMEs, and cooperatives. Then, Chairperson, that will be the last day for the meeting, the 14th of June, as there will be a constituency period that is starting on the 19th of June till 31st August. However, we have scheduled pending the approval of the study tour to Germany, which if dates allows, it should be from the 18th till the 24th of June. So, Chairperson, we hereby as Secretary present this program and wish that the committee can consider and adopt it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Braking. Honorable members, here is the program before us. Any input so that we can adopt the program as our roadmap towards this quarter.
Chairperson, no, I can't because I wasn't on the meeting.
Yes, Honorable Kruger, you may speak.
No, sorry, Chairperson, I want to see if it's proper that I propose that we adopt the program. But, and I just realized I only arrived late on the meeting, so I don't know if it's proper that I can propose that we adopt the program.
You are relevant. You are an honorable member. You are part of the portfolio committee members. You have got the right to move for the adoption of this program. Any seconder on this matter, honorable members? Honorable Kruger.
I second, Chair, Honorable Jacobs.
Thank you, Honorable Jacobs. Then we'll hear from you, you'll update us from time to time. Maybe on that, you will advise honorable members to go and access their, must go and, or you will rely on you liaise with the relevant department, but from today, those who are closer to who will be there, let us be assisted to receive those official passport. They must not be a stumbling block for other members to can be part of this visit. That's what I can remark while accepting that we adopt this program, honorable members. We will now move to the next item. Can you flag again back the program on Braking for us? The agenda, I mean.
Madam Chair, can I just ask a question while you mentioned the Germany study tour? Do we have any indication how many members will go there per party? Because I know other committees have there's sort of a problem setting the whole committee, but maybe King can answer that.
Yeah, he may answer that, but he will be just referring you to the rules and as well as the advice from Chair of Chairs. Braking, you may answer that. It's a good question.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't know whether we can discuss it now because there is that progress on the international study tour as an item. I don't know whether should we answer it now or should we consider it when
let's shelf it for that particular period so that members can have ample time to get briefing and get clarity on certain issues. Honorable Kruger, I think it is in order. Your question will arise when we arrive there. Thank you, Braking.
Thank you, Chair.
Our agenda, which is
however, there's a hand from Honorable April. Chair.
Honorable April, I thought I have closed the matter. Is it in relation with the study tour?
No, Chairperson, I raised my hand before King answered. I wanted to alert the meeting that it is on the program for discussion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, my super acting chairperson. I know that you are good in that. Thanks for that advice. As I've indicated, network is dribbling me a lot here. Let's zoom to the next item, which is briefing on the 2022-23-24 strategic annual performance and budget plans of the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, Sefa. Sefa is our agency from the department. The department is being led by the DG in the absence of the political head, which is the minister and the deputy minister. The one who's leading the delegation is our DG. So I will allow him or give him an opportunity to usher his department. Over to you, DG.
Morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. I will just show my face so that you are sure it's me who's talking, and close the screen. Chair, we are here to present our strategic plan for Sefa, which is in our last year of the administration. We've made some progress, Chair, in terms of the integration of the planning activities of the entity as well as that of the department as well as CEDA. We intend to push in terms of the merger of the three entities this year, and we are already initiating processes that will help us, Chair, to blend together as a portfolio and make sure that whatever is planned by CEDA, Sefa is also part of it, and CBDA. So, Chair, I don't really want to waste time, just to allow the colleagues to go through the presentation, but just to indicate that we do have some challenges in terms of finances. So there are discussions that the minister has initiated with National Treasury, because CEDA does need additional finances so that they can be able to execute their activities accordingly. Without wasting time, Chair, I can request the CEO of CEDA to proceed. Sefa, sorry. Thank you.
Over to you, CEO. Thank you, DG.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, DGs and colleagues. Chair, before I start, I would like to request King to give me the rights to share the presentation, and also express apologies from my board chairperson who has got a medical emergency that she has to attend to this morning. And Chair, let me see if my permission is granted. Thank you, King. And now, well, just bear with me, Chair. I'm trying to find the presentation on my list here. Chair, as the DG has indicated, this plan is underpinned by the availability rate of funding. Chair, just bear with me. The platform is refusing to allow me to share this presentation. Let me try again. Okay, eventually. Let me see. And thank you, Chair. I will just allow the system to run whilst I'm just doing the basic introduction. I just want to, if I can remove this thing to allow me to make it a slide presentation. The system still playing mind games. Okay, let's see. Chair, I hope the presentation is visible to members. And if I may close my video to improve the bandwidth of the sharing. King, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Mr. Machamba.
Thank you, colleague. Thank you, Chair. We are here as Sefa to present the APP for the financial year 23-24, as indicated by the DG. This thing likes this phrasing. Chair, this is the content really of the presentation. And I must declare, Chair, as my DG said, that this is really subject to the availability of funding. We say that, Chair, because we've seen, because of load shedding, some of our entities that ordinarily operate for 8.5 hours being forced to operate between 3 and 4 hours. And what that has done, Chairperson and honorable members, it has reduced the productivity of these companies, which has led into the reduction of their incomes or revenues. And that has a consequence resulted in them being unable to service Sefa loans. We saw, Chairperson and honorable members, in November, December, this past calendar year, our collections dropping from 75 down to 35% as a result of that. And that has hit our own internal revenue streams and our ability, Chairperson and members, to extend credit to other SMMEs. And the Minister of Small Business Development has engaged the Minister of Finance to see that whether it's possible for finance to re-inject some funding or rather to Sefa, to enable Sefa to continue implementing the mandate of providing access to finance to these SMMEs. And we await really hopefully a positive response from the National Treasury in that regard. But coming back to the presentation and conscious of time and the challenges that members may face as a result of load shedding, I'll try to rush through, Chairperson. This is really an overview of our corporate plan for this financial year. And part A looks at our mandate, which I will not really bore the members with that part because it's standard, the constitutional mandate, establishment and legislative mandates, the policy mandates are covered, the relevant court rulings, if any, are covered, and part B of the plan looks at our strategic focus, that being the vision, the mission, and the values. That again, Chair, I won't dwell much because it still remains the same. And part C looks at updated situational analysis, i.e. looking at the external environment, the global dynamics that impact on the performance of businesses, the escalating interest rates, the impact of the Russia-Ukraine clash, and also looking at the internal environmental analysis with special focus there, members, on the impact of the merger on our staff turnover. For example, between January and March this year, in a space of 3 months, we lost 15 professionals because people feel that there's no job security because of the pending merger, and that is directly impacting on the ability of the organization to execute the mandate, because the number of people leaving the organization far outweighs the number of people who are joining the organization. And part D, members, looks at the measuring our performance, i.e. the impact statement, the strategic plan, looking at the outcomes, the outcome indicators and outcomes of the 5-year targets. And then the core for today really is our annual performance information, also looking at outputs indicators and annual and quarterly targets. Then looking at the explanation of planned performance, strategic enablers and dependencies. And finally, the consolidated financial projections for the year. Chair, this is the results-based planning methodology that underpins the theory of change concept, which in turn informs the manner in which, as government institution, we should be developing our short and medium plans. Chair, this is standard. We've adopted this plan as Sefa in the financial year 2020-21, and the frameworks really that inform our Sefa reporting guidelines. Chair, we are a Schedule 2 institution, and our planning is informed by the draft guidelines for corporate planning and shareholder compact of 2002, which are applicable to Schedule 2, 3B, and 3D major public entities. We're also informed by the guidelines for SOE's corporate plan content and format of 2014, which provides guidance regarding the form and content and preparation of corporate plans and provides templates indicating the minimum level of information required by the executive authority. It is based on the National Treasury Guide and expands upon the requirements specified in the PFMA, Regulations and Companies Act. In 2020, Chair and members, the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation issued the revised framework for strategic plans and annual performance plans 2019 as amended in 2020, referred to as the revised framework. Compliance with the revised framework is compulsory for all government departments, government components, and Schedule 3A and 3C public entities. The plans defined by the framework are accountability documents, and while the framework is silent on us as Schedule 2 and 3B, 3D entities, Chair, it is common cause that if there is a reliance on grant or subsidy from the fiscals, then they must be accounted for. As such, it is argued that Schedule 2, 3B, and 3D entities receiving grant or subsidy must also comply with the framework in full. And in addition, it would seem good practice, Chair, that since the shareholder department, i.e. DSPD, and the sister agencies, CEDA and the Co-ops Bank, are developing their plans in terms of this revised framework, Sefa must also adopt it in preparation, Chair, for simplifying the transition into the merger. And we took a decision, Chair, when I joined in 2020-21, that let's start aligning Sefa with this new reporting framework. Hence, we're tabling, Chair, our APP in that format. The plan covers these main 3 or 4 areas. The strategic plan, the areas that are covered there is our mandate, part A, part B, the strategic focus, part C, measuring our performance, and then the annual performance plan also looks at the mandate and also our strategic focus, including the updated situational analysis. Part C look at measuring our performance, and then part D is the technical indicator descriptions and annexes. The third element is the annual operational plan, which is really the operational internal documents for the divisions of the entity. And then lastly, we have the other plans looking at the relationship between infrastructure planning and spatial planning, strategic plan and APP to be aligned with spatial development frameworks and mechanisms for infrastructure planning as defined in government documents. We are, Chair, the DG said, on the 4th year of the MTSF period, and our plan is aligned with that government mandate. And now, Chair, moving to overview of the corporate annual plan. Part A, our mandate, this is the part, Chair, that looks at the constitutional mandate, the legislative and policy mandates, institutional policies and strategic governing the 5-year planning period and relevant court rulings. I won't dwell much because these are really as they were previously, looking at the Constitution of the Republic, the relevant sections that apply to us, and also looking at the enabling legislation for Sefa, i.e. the IDC Act as amended is established, Sefa is a subsidiary of the IDC, hence that alignment. And then we look at the legislation that Sefa, that informs Sefa operations as listed there, starting with your National Small Business Act, the National Credit Act, and others, which I will not really dwell much on. The policy mandates also, Chair, as indicated, we are informed by the national policy directing focus areas for Sefa, starting with the NDP, revised medium-term strategic framework, the National Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, the National Spatial Development Framework, and looking at the foundational policies informing the work of Sefa is a national strategy on the development and promotion of small business in South Africa and the rest of the others. And then we have the sector-based policy informing the work of Sefa, starting with the co-ops development policy, the integrated and development and promotion of cooperatives, etc. Additionally, the policy informing the planning for this cycle, we have the National Integrated Small Enterprise Development Master Plan, which was launched in 2022 by the Minister, the National Annual Strategic Plan, NASP, the National Annual Budget Prioritization Framework, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Chair, quickly, this is what we call the Sefa House. On top, it's what we call the what? The impact of Sefa's efforts. We're looking at the sustainable small, medium, micro, and cooperative enterprises, and also increased economic participation, ownership, and access to resources and opportunities by previously disadvantaged individuals, prioritizing women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Then the next leg looks at the how part of Sefa, which is our operations. On the far left is our direct lending channel. And we use the regional offices to disperse the funding and provide access to our clients, and the products being your asset finance, bridging loans, revolving loans, and term loans. The next leg is the wholesale lending channels, working with the financial and partner institutions. We also work with intermediaries through structured finance solutions, revolving loans, joint ventures, equity funds, and term loans. Also cooperatives and micro enterprises, asset finance, bridging loans, revolving loans, and term loans also. And then the third one is the credit guarantee scheme, which is done under KCG, and the channels there being financial partner institutions and Sefa regional offices. The products being your credit guarantee, your wholesale credit guarantee, and credit indemnities. And then we have a leg that we introduced in the previous financial year, which is mainly fund management and ancillary services, where we leverage Sefa capabilities to manage third-party funds on a cost recovery basis. Here, Chair and members, we're referring to the work that we do in administering some of the funds of the different departments, like the land reform program, and the one from tourism, being the tourism equity fund and others. And then finally, Chair, we have the property portfolio under cooler business premises. Here we're looking at leveraging property portfolio for sustainability on a user pay cost recovery margin model. The foundation really that underpins all this work is the credit risk, which really seeks to ensure that we lend responsibly. We ensure that when we provide lending to the enterprises, these enterprises will be able to pay back the money so that we continue financing other SMMEs. And we also have sector thought leadership and institutional capacity buildings, stakeholder partnership and mobilization, sound governance, financial sustainability, and organizational effectiveness and performance. Chair, looking at the institutional policies and strategies informing our planning, the DSBD business delivery model and Sefa collaboration. Chair, if you look at the area of pre-investment support, we collaborate with SEDA in that regard, where we do common funding templates, facilitate applications for funding through the common funding templates, particularly for your types of programs and co-ops. And on our side, the Sefa will conduct financial, technical, and legal due diligence on funding applications, business plans forwarded by SEDA, and conduct approval and legal contracting. Post-investment monitoring and support for TRAP, assist Sefa from the SEDA side funded clients with mentorship, coaching, and business performance diagnosis. SEDA also assists our clients with assessing clients' operating requirements and provide industry and standard certification. SEDA also look at providing market access facilitation to Sefa funded clients for growth, to distressed businesses, and also provide occupational and health and technical training to Sefa funded clients. Whilst on the side of Sefa, where we look at focusing on data management, including collections, rescheduling of loans for distressed clients, restructuring also for distressed clients, proactive portfolio management and monitoring, including analysis of management accounts, financial statements, stock, business operations, client visits, and advice duties. SEDA reports from various service providers will be utilized to assist Sefa to effectively monitor the existing investments. Also, looking at access to market efforts by SEDA helps to strengthen repayment capabilities for our clients, because it really helps them to grow their market and revenue generation. Also, looking at funding programs, SEDA looks at that particular area of pre-funding support, and Sefa looking at the application due diligence and adjudication, legal contracting, and disbursement. Strategic partnerships, SEDA provides business development support services to partners in the ecosystem, and Sefa will provide funding support. And then on marketing and business development, We do joint marketing and outreach campaigns and co-locations in municipalities between the two entities. Also, we do this co-location chat to facilitate the transition into the measure so that our people are able to understand what the left hand is doing and what the right hand is doing, and ensure that there is that alignment. Looking at monitoring and evaluation and research, we have integrated planning, monitoring and evaluation framework and strengthened the SME and co-op sector research and knowledge hub and strategic partnership with higher education institutions and research partners. The systems, shared information system and application front end, customer relationship management, business advisors, database, call center, and national SME support line. We working already closely at right across the value chain in regards to the systems, and also in preparation for the merger. Our ICT divisions have started actually analyzing the systems the legacy system that we're using, and to establish going forward, how do we make sure that these systems are aligned and integrated. Then looking at small business development support, game changers of the department, game changer one, new economy startups. Sefa focuses on support SEDA's new economy program through technology startup funding. On game changer two, township and rural economic development, we as Sefa looking at leveraging the 900 million rands TRAP budget to support at least 20,000 township and rural enterprises, support the phased rollout of township and rural zones. And game changer three, refueled incubator accelerator program. Sefa looks at supporting SEDA's incubator program through looking at funding some of the incubatees as they graduate from SEDA. And game changer four, recapitalize SME funding. We are engaging the Treasury, as we said, Chair, to recapitalize Kula Credit Guarantee as a funding mechanism to link ESG initiatives for Black entrepreneurs at leveraging 6.6, what we call funding, or leveraging about, for every rand rather that we guarantee, we want the banks to on lend about 6.6 times that money. And develop a network of microfinance intermediaries to interface between wholesale lenders and micro enterprises, scale up Sefa's direct lending program, and also pre-investment and post-investment support. We need to build capacity in that space and enhance Sefa's blended finance, the combination of loan and grant, particularly for the designated groups. Chair, we will continue working really closely with the intermediaries, but we need to spread and de-risk the dependence on just two of these intermediaries. And really, it is a program that is working well to reach our clients. For example, to give you a picture, Chairperson and members, Sefa as an organization, we got about 300 employees to deliver all these products. But our two intermediaries, SAF, which is a Small Enterprise Foundation, has got about 600 employees, and Pagamani has got about 300 employees.
Sorry, CEO, through you, Chairperson, I note that Honorable Babalwa is trying to access the room, and she says she's been sitting in the waiting room for more than 10 minutes. Could she please be allowed into the portfolio committee? Thank you. Apologies.
Yes, Chair. We're saying, Chair, this what we call outreach or footprint of these intermediaries in microfinance is a critically what we call delivery vehicle for Sefa, because we can never afford as Sefa to employ those 1,000 employees and open those offices that they have across the country and other additional services that they provide to the women in the rural areas, like education around HIV, AIDS issues, and other social challenges that they face. So we value their inputs, and it's cheaper for government really to use them, as if we were to have 1,000 employees more for microfinance to drain our resources. And then looking at Game Changer 5, Supply Development Partnership Program, Sefa is looking at major corporates will be engaged through public-private partnership, which has been established to partner with them and also to leverage the ESD funds programs. And we're already engaging the JSE. The department is finalizing the MOU. At operational level, we're looking at action plans whereby we're saying, particularly those JSE listed companies where the PIC has invested, that they must look at partnering with Sefa to provide access to funding, that's mean using these EST funds that they hold. And there is a favorable move in that direction in our engagements with the JSE. They're looking at the social policies and strategies informing our planning. And we've actually implemented the revised credit policy and investment risk policy. And Sefa has approved the revised policy in 2021, which is updating the existing policy that was approved by the previous board of directors in 2017. This policy really, Chair and members, it guides how we actually ensure that we minimize the risk of failure to pay right from the port of entry without making stringent rules. But remember, members, Sefa is not a collateral lender, we are a cash flow lender. And in our credit policy, we want to make sure that at least when the lender comes in, there is an element of comfort that the business will generate enough revenues to service the debt and also meet its other operating financial obligations. And we try to minimize the impairments, because if you don't control that part of the comfort of the ability of the business to generate revenues, you will see the problems through the escalation of the impairments. And by this policy, we're trying to ensure that that risk is mitigated. There are no court rulings, Chair, or judgments that material that Sefa is actually facing at the moment. And then, Chair, I'm really not going to bother the committee with the vision, mission, and values, because we really have covered these ones, and the document I take it as read because these are standards, they have not changed. And looking at briefly at the external environmental analysis, the global outlook, regional economic outlook, our South African socio-economic outlook, and the SME environment and updated analysis. Even this one, Chair, these are issues really that are out there in the public domain that one would not really want to dwell much, except to say the priorities and focus areas for this year for us is the building of a sustainable loan book and expansion of credit, e.g. to microfinance space. We've seen that one of the interventions that really were able to deliver serious impact, it is through microfinance. Microfinance funding far outweighs actually the impact that we deliver under TRAP, because under microfinance, we're dealing with those rural women who are the providers of the sustainability of those nucleus families in the rural and extended families in the rural areas. And if you look at the size of the loans that we provide to the microfinance enterprises compared to the TRAP loan that is up to $1 million, the impact and the fee, or called the output that we get there is much more stronger. And we agreed with the department and the DG that let's allocate more funding to the microfinance so that we spread really that impact in the rural areas. And also we're looking at decreasing impairments, as I said, building the capacity of PIM, because Chair and members, what is most important in the business of lending is your ability to provide post-investment support to ensure that your client is supported, even providing what we call mentorship, access to market and networks. And the PIM is very critical. And it's said that historically, in the previous measures of Sefa and other entities, it was one division that was not prioritized. In fact, you realize that after all the divisions were populated, the redundant people were just dumped on PIM. And it was a very, very, very short-sighted decision. And we took a decision now that we are going to capacitate PIM with skilled people so that they're able to go to the clients and do the financial analysis and be able to detect the challenges right from the port of entry before the client fails to pay. And we're going to crowd in the private sector resources. And we do this, Chair, through this EST funding we spoke about, and also KCG. KCG is one of the fantastic products that government can provide, because for every rand, Chair, that we guarantee with these banks, they on lend 6.25 into the economy. For example, if we were to guarantee $1 billion as Sefa, 6.25 billion will be on-lended by the banks. And the beauty about that is that they are not using the fiscus money, they are using their own balance sheet. And the guarantee money that we provide is locked in investment, we don't give it to them. We then have the impact really of reducing the pressure and the strain that the fiscus is facing by leveraging the balance sheets of these financial institutions. It's one of the areas that we said to the Treasury, let us capitalize KCG. And also, we are looking at improving performance on key development indicators, as we indicated, particularly the area for designated people, that is your youth, your women, and people with disabilities, and rural and township areas. And we looking at improving the cost structure to drive the cost efficiencies, fast-track systems development and digitization, look at implementing turnaround strategies for our property portfolio is one area, Chair, that is very, very politicized, with the majority of our clients being on rent boycott for an extended period of time. But through the interventions that we've implemented operationally, we are beginning to see some of them coming forward to sign lease agreements, and with the view that they will start paying for rent. But the biggest driver for us is for them to pay for the electricity, water, and other municipal services, because we are covering those costs and we're not recovering because they are on this rent boycott. But we've implemented stringent interventions where we cut electricity, and we're installing now metered smart meters so that they are paying upfront for electricity to reduce the burden from Sefa. We're looking at the enhancing organizational capabilities across the value chain. But as I said, Chair, this is really a challenge by the turnaround staff, of the staff turnaround in the entity because of the pending measure. To lose 15 people in 3 months is not sustainable, because if you're lucky, you'll be able to bring in 5 people. But it's like a revolving door. And these new people, they need about 6 months to understand the systems and start being productive. And we're hoping that we will be able to finalize the measure so that the organization can stabilize and have the capacity to deliver on this mandate. We're looking at also building the Sefa brand and increasing Sefa visibility. But also this is underpinned by the ability of the organization to deliver on this mandate on the basis of it having the capacity to do that. Measuring Sefa performance. Chair, this one really is what we tabled last year. It's looking at the 5-year MTSF period, where we say the baseline for enhanced access to finance for audited numbers 2020-21 was 1.3 billion, and our target for the 5 years is 9.7 billion. But Chair, I wouldn't like to dwell much on the 5-year targets because these were tabled previously. I want to zoom into the current year, what we call performance plans. And this really explains that if you look at the financial perspective now, Chair, we are looking at the priorities of improving the cost structure. I spoke to that. Package Sefa as a commercial program implementer of choice, noting from the endorsement that Sefa received on how we manage the land reform program, SPF and the EU funds, and they also established an automated reporting tool for our annual financial statements, and also looking at developing a business case and roadmap for investment growth in property portfolio to turn around that portfolio, and specific priorities related to women, youth, and people with disabilities, including the BBBE threshold for procurement to be implemented. Now, looking at that, zooming to that, those targets, Chair, from a financial perspective, we're saying the outcome that we want to achieve is a financial sustainable organization. The outputs is enhanced financial management and performance. That is going to be done through the containment of the cost-income ratio. If you're looking, Chair, at the gray part, that's where we're focusing on 23-24. We want our cost-income ratio to be 74%. And also KCG, capital leveraging ratio, as I said, Chair, wants KCG to actually extend a guarantee that will deliver that multiplier effect of 6.25. The percentage growth in revenue, that excluding the grant, we're looking at seeing our growth at least in revenues by 11% from our lending operations and other activities, including property portfolio rentals. Then the electable area vacancy rate at 30% and rental collections or a rate of 50%. As we try, Chair, to break the back of the boycotts, we want to increase and that was last year we were sitting at 40% collections rate, wanted to grow to 50% in this current year. Financial system organization continues looking at the blended first default rate. We want to contain that at 10%. The first default rate, members, it speaks to if you lend a client funding this month and you give them 3 months moratorium, and then they default on the first installment, you would want to contain that number to 10% at least. Percentage portfolio at risk, that is now all loans that are 60 plus 1 day behind. We want to contain that at 45%. And the impairments, we want to contain them at 40%. But with the loading, the load sharing impact, it's going to be a tough call, that one, because if, as I said earlier in my introduction, Chairperson, if a business that is supposed to operate 8.5 hours, it finds itself operating 3 to 4 hours, automatically its revenues are going to be slashed by close to 50%, and its ability to meet its financial obligations by extension. I'm looking at a percentage collections rate. We want really, as we make these support these clients, we increase our collections to 85%. And one of the critical interventions here that we want to try is to provide alternative power backup for our clients so that they are able to operate at least, even if it's 6 hours, if they can't achieve the 8.5 hours a day. And the intervention of solar, LPG gas, and also your batteries and inverters is one of the areas that we're looking at. And hopefully the treasurer will come on board in that regard. And then look at the rent value of additional capital raised of 85 million. And the Sefa BBB level, we want to be a triple BE facilitator this year, but we're looking at setting the baseline and then improvement on the implementation of that plan. And looking at a customer perspective, now we were talking previously on financial perspective. Customer perspective, the priorities for the period is development and implementation of an energy fund, as I mentioned, to really assist our clients to continue operating, building a sustainable loan book, expansion of credit guarantee to microfinance, more especially introducing more Black-owned microlenders, focus on building client sustainability. I spoke to the PIM capacity building, decreasing and containing our impairments through a multitude of these interventions, including this energy intervention, crowding in the private sector resources, looking at your ESD funds, and also NISET response, finance SMEs and co-ops funding policy and strategy, and centralize. We want to centralize large deals, due diligence function to head office because of the exposure that we pick up due to the decreasing capacity that we see at the regional office level. Then looking at rethinking the moratorium, replace the service interest only and strengthen capital, because we've been providing clients a moratorium of capital and interest repayments for 6 months. And what we've picked up, members, is that this extended moratorium creates a comfort zone for our clients not to get used to paying debt. And when the moratorium ends, they come back and want to negotiate another extension. And we said now, let them pay the interest and then we give them moratorium on their capital so that they start getting used to servicing the debt from day one. And that is done on a case-by-case basis and looking at the affordability for each business. And want to also explore treasury offer for funding to support solar and gas and in hospitality sector. And we know now that the case that we faced, that the Department of Tourism faced, they are busy negotiating a settlement, and we expect that the Tourism Equity Fund will come back, and this is one of the funds that we want to use to support the Black ownership in the hospitality space. But we need to have that solar and alternative energy backup for these entities, and want to implement loan programs that are responsive to government policy programs, and looking at improving performance on key development indicators, as said. Then zooming into those key deliverables and outputs indicators, we're looking at the value of approvals for SMEs and cooperatives for this year, members being at 2.339 billion, and disbursements being 2.346 billion, and number of SMEs and co-ops looking at 93,671 this financial year. Number of jobs, looking at facilitating 120,000 jobs, and disbursements to Black-owned enterprises, we're looking at disbursing 1.6 billion, and disbursements to women-owned enterprises, we're looking at 938 million for this financial year, and disbursements to youth-owned enterprises, we're looking at 703 million, and disbursements to enterprises owned by people with disabilities, we're looking at 164 million, disbursements to township-based enterprises, we're looking at 586 million, and disbursements to enterprises located in rural areas, we're looking at 938 million, and value of approvals to SMEs and cooperatives, we're looking at 275 million. One will ask, why would you have disbursements in the rural higher than township? Remember, microfinance is stronger in the rural areas than it is in the township. And the majority of these women who participate in microfinance, I can argue 85% of them are in the rural areas and not in the township, hence that higher number. Moving on, Chair, the value of disbursements to SMEs and cooperatives, we're looking at 376 million. This is now from KCG's point of view. That the previous one was direct lending and wholesale lending. And from KCG, number of SMEs and co-ops, finance will be 686 under KCG. The jobs under KCG will be 8,744. Disbursements to black-owned enterprises under KCG, 263 million. And women-owned under KCG, disbursements will be 150 million. And to youth under KCG, disbursements will be 113 million. Still under KCG, disbursements to enterprises owned by entrepreneurs with disabilities, we look at 26 million. And for township-based enterprises, we look at 94 million. And enterprises in rural areas, we look at 150 million. Oh, gosh, sorry. Now looking at business process perspective, I'll be quick. This is really much more internally focused, but it responds to the customer needs. We look at enhancing organizational capabilities across Sefa value chain. And we need to look at establishing a project management office to drive organizational projects, including the merger consideration, establish a treasury function in the merged entity, conclude organizational review process as part of the merger process, and looking at establishing KCG as a fully operating subsidiary of Sefa as recommended by the World Bank review that was concluded in February, which was commissioned by National Treasury. We look at building the Sefa brand and increasing Sefa visibility by increased investment in marketing and client outreach, strengthening collaboration with key participants in the ecosystem, and strengthen Sefa's sectoral research and knowledge management capabilities. Now, some of the key deliverables there, the outputs there, Chair, is the enhanced access to finance and SME cooperatives as an outcome. Output is a number of clients and funding partner interventions. We get 109 of those. Number of Sefa clients improving their turnover by at least 5%. We're looking at least at 35 clients in that regard. Turnaround time for direct lending, we want to contain it within 30 days as we introduce this automated loan origination system. Turnaround time for wholesale lending, 50 days. This one will be longer, including KCG turnaround times, because here we're dealing with banks and independent institutions. They have to follow their own approval processes before we conclude deals. And the progress implementation of an electronic crowdfunding platform for early stage startups, specification for electronic crowdfunding early stage startups to be developed in this financial year. And progress in automation of Sefa business processes. We look at maintenance enhancement of the PMWR system, and progress in implementation of Sefa Enterprise Content Management. Phase 2, implementation of the ECM system will be done this year. Sefa risk maturity level, we want to improve really our level from level 3 to level 4, Chair, this financial year. Learning and growth, as I move towards conclusion, Chairperson, towards the measure, we want to ensure clarity on roles and responsibility. And also the funding priorities, Chair, because I always mention that one of the dangers that we face in the new merged entity is cutting down on the funding for lending to SMEs and spending more on human resources, which is a challenge that I can argue all the DFIs, provincial ones in the country, collapse because of that. And also Treasury reducing the funding for loan funding is one of the challenges that we're facing. In fact, we see it currently as Sefa, given the intervention that the minister is putting in place, engaging the Treasury, that we need to recapitalize direct lending, we need to recapitalize KCG, we need to recapitalize SMME wholesale funding. and looking at also enhancing organizational capabilities across the value chain, conclude really the whole organizational review process and also optimize the functioning of Sefa. And this should be done, Chair and members, within the context of the merger, because we cannot pretend as if there's no merger coming as Sefa. Every intervention that we put in place, it has to speak to the broader work of the merger that we are part of. And this, Chair, will be done really through this process, the number of publications to be produced. We want to produce this year 6 sector and value chain analysis report, biannual business condition survey, loan program performance report. On employee engagement index, we hoping to achieve 70% employee engagement index, which will be cutting it quite risky because employees are just not comfortable with the uncertainty that comes with the merger, as reflected by the high standard, what we call staff turnover in the entity. The percentage of staff that scores 3.5% or more on the annual performance assessment, we want at least to have 60% of our staff scoring around that. And the productivity index, we targeting a productivity in the index that should increase by 10% from the baseline. Chair, quickly, this is our consolidated annual financial statements. And I won't bore the members much about the balance sheet, except to reflect that we expect that we should have an increase in the financial year in the lending space, provided really the treasury comes on board. And one of the key areas, Chair, is the question of impairments, and really is one of the areas that worried as an entity because we need to contain these impairments. And what is becoming clearer, Chair, now from the COVID relief programs to your TREP programs, and now that the moratoriums for these groups of interventions are coming to an end, we're beginning to see an increase of poor performance, and it's an area that we want to contain and try to come up with interventions to minimize, Chair, the impact of what you call of those programs that we actually deal with. And we anticipate, Chair, that the year will end with a net loss of about 120 million as a result, really, of those impairments. And also the other driver are the losses that we incur from our properties portfolio as a result of these clients who are boycotting rental payments. But we are working there, Chair, aggressively with these tenants, because what we picked up, there are tenants who are subletting our properties mainly to other people and foreigners, and collecting and pocketing them. One, we prioritize South African businesses to locate in these buildings, and if they are proven to be South African, we sign the lease agreement with a tenant and we kick out the one who's subletting illegally our properties. But we anticipate, Chair, that with that intervention, the team is working quite hard. We began to see positive results in, for example, the VAL, where the clients have stopped boycotts, they're signing the lease agreements, and we're looking at providing their solar energy or some other means of alternative energy so that those tenants can operate fully. And we had a major challenge in Cape Town, where one of our shopping center was burnt down by a disgruntled Checkers or Pick n Pay employee. And after that, with the security that we put, the people looted the remaining structures of the building to the ground. And it was so bad that even one of the security guards was shot at by the looters. But we're engaging now other players to rebuild that complex, and it's not going to cost us less than 80 million to rebuild it. And we're looking at partnering with the likes of the PIC to leverage their strong balance sheet. Chair, I would like to leave it there and request the committee to approve the APP. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO, for the detailed presentation. Braking, can you take us back to the agenda? I will now invite the DG again to usher his agency on the next item, which is a briefing on the 2023-24 strategic annual performance and budget plan of the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, SEDA. Over to you, DG.
Chair. Chair.
Yes, Braking.
No, they are done. It's only Sefa today, Chair.
Oh, it's only Sefa today.
Yes, SEDA and the department will be tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow. No.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I can see now on the agenda. Thank you. I will now invite members to deliberate where we feel there are questions and where we feel we need to guide, but more especially on the issue of spending, because we can only say that we are doing very, very well if we are trying our best to assist our people on the ground. So you will identify hands, Braking, for me.
Yes, Chairperson. What happened to me? We had a hand from Mr. Mabiga. I don't know whether he now has got a problem with network. I can't see him now.
You can't see him, no? We'll check with him.
Yes.
I'm still available.
Oh, so it will be
Okay, let
honorable.
us give you an opportunity before you are cut off by this network, honorable member. And then the next member
It's
is
Honorable
that's the
Kruger.
only handful. Honorable Kruger.
Honorable
And who else?
Matulelwa.
Matulelwa.
Those are the three so far, Chair. Or
Okay.
Honorable April.
Honorable April.
Yes, those. So it's Honorable Mabiga, Honorable Kruger, Honorable Matulelwa, and Honorable April, Chair.
Okay. Can we start with Honorable Mabiga?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think it's proper to begin by welcoming the presentation. But my question, Chairperson, is around the issue of the intermediaries. According, if I understood this presentation very well, it is like the Sefa is excited and happy about the work that the intermediaries are doing. And I think maybe it sounds well on paper. One is then not sure if they do follow up from what the intermediaries are doing to see if it really does have an impact on the clients or on the people on the ground who stand to benefit from the grant. The reason I'm raising this, Chairperson, is because as we are coming from the oversight from the Northwest, most of the discrepancies that we came across were from the same intermediaries. So it now becomes very difficult. Intermediaries are going well in terms because they've got offices, they've got so many people they've employed. But the question and the issue is, what about the people who are supposed to benefit or to be uplifted? Because some of the issues that we came across was just to say the money is given to the intermediaries, but when you go to the beneficiary, you'll find that on paper it's written that so such and such amount of money has been granted to the client, but only to find that the client is not even aware. And if you follow up, like the first visit we had, just looking at the person who is supposed to have been helped, you see that this person is far from developing, from getting to where we want. We think the department intends helping the person to move from one level or to the next, the way things are, because you will find even the issues of the interest that these people have to pay to the intermediaries. You talk the 29%, and there's not consistency in terms of the percentages. So I'm not very sure if it's the understanding that we have, or we have as a result of what we discovered from the oversight, is the same as the understanding that Sefa has with the intermediaries in terms of the outcome that we think we should get at the end of the day. Thanks so much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable. I think they've captured you very, very well. Your issue is whether there is a positive impact or negative impact on the issue of this intermediate, the percentage. I think they've captured it well. And I think this has been the worrying factor from our side. So I think your question is in order, Honorable Member, and your concerns as such. Then I will invite Honorable Kruger.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and also please note my appreciation for the presentation. Madam Chair, we heard a lot about rental income, and it seems that Sefa is having problems receiving this income. But I think my concern around this is the state of this property, especially in the rural areas. In this constituency period, I drove around a lot of rural areas in Mpumalanga. Actually, the whole of Mpumalanga is rural areas. So, and it seems like, and I must also admit, I don't know if it's Sefa's property, but it seems like property where business owners are renting from are in a very bad state. So I just want to find out, number one, what is the state of our property and how much it will cost to get this property up to standard, including solar system or a backup power system for small businesses, because we all know small businesses can't afford backup systems. And I would like to get more detail of Sefa's plans to make power backup plans or power backup instruments available to small businesses, and what are we going to do about it, because it's a huge problem at the moment, and it's like a catch-22 situation where small business can't pay back their rent because they don't get income. About productivity, I think we heard that, and because of that they don't pay Sefa, and because of that Sefa is not able to loan money to finance this power backup systems. Madam Chair, and also, I'm also on the agriculture committee, and we as a committee went on oversight, while small business went on oversight to Northwest. We went on oversight to Lowveld in Mpumalanga, and we visit some businesses or farmers, small farmers that received finance from agriculture, the department for not land reform, sorry, for rural development. And I was wondering, why don't rural development form part of small business development? Because it seems like it's just a double, precautions or double dipping or whatever they call it. And I think we really have to consider that rural development form part of small business development, because most of those farmers are not most, 100% of farmers are business owners as well. Farming is a business. So I would like for us to consider that, so that we can make proposals that rural development form part of small business development. And then when we talk about financing small businesses, I can't remember which slide was it. I just want to find out what's the average loans to a small business in township, a small business in a township, versus the average loan of a small business in rural areas. And also, what's the average loan of a cooperative to a cooperative in a township? And what is the average of loans by Sefa, of course, to cooperatives in rural areas? And I don't know if he will be able to give us that information today, but I would like to see somehow that comparison. Now, I picked up a few times that the presenter talked about intervention of Treasury. Now, it seems like he's busy making us ready that there's some bad news coming. And the last slide, I saw the bad news, because slide 59, we saw the losses, and it seems like the losses, it's not going to become a positive soon. So on the medium term, it seems like we're still going to have some losses shown by CEDA. But the question I want to know about this is, if CEDA don't get intervention from Treasury, will the business plan of Sefa still look the same as was presented today? Because I just want to know what will happen if Treasury don't intervene into the matters of Sefa. So I hope the question is clear. I would like to know if Sefa business plan will be exactly the same if they don't get a bailout from Treasury. And man, you can see now the negative effect of load shedding. My load shedding my electricity just went off. So you can see I'm a little bit blurry. But thank you, Madam Chair. That is my questions.
Thank you, Honorable Kruger. I believe they have catch it up. Some were suggestions, some were questions. I will now request Honorable Matulelo to make an input. Honorable Matulelo, over to you.
Greetings, Chairperson, to yourself, the members of the Portfolio Committee and all the staff. Firstly, I want to register my disappointment and dissatisfaction with Sefa, Chair. One, I just want to recommend few things as a portfolio committee that we may consider doing without even welcoming the presentation from Sefa. I don't trust Sefa anymore. So my recommendation is that as the committee, we must open a criminal case against Sefa. Number two, the SIU and Hawks must investigate Sefa on intermediary scam with immediate effect, Chair. We can't sit here and listen to Sefa giving us any further presentations because it's misled us for so many years, for so long. So it's enough now. Number three, Sefa must not receive any budget or government money until criminals are being arrested in all corners of Sefa in the whole country. That's what, Chair. I don't want to waste your time. I just want to register that, and let us just do this justice for the government money and for the small businesses. We can't continue listening to Sefa presentations any longer because they've misled us, and we believe that in all Sefa this thing is happening in the name of intermediaries. So that's my recommendations, my Chair, and the Portfolio Committee. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matulelo, for your input. Let me call Honorable April to make his input.
Chairperson, thank you very much, members of the Portfolio Committee, the administration led by the DG. Let me start by welcoming the presentation that Sefa has done today to the Portfolio Committee. Notwithstanding, I am of the view that this particular meeting had a mandate to check the alignment of the strategic plan, our APP, with the mandate of the current administration. Have we achieved? Where are we? We are in the last financial year. And what I was listening to and was listening attentively to when the presentation was made, I was listening to what has been done, what still has to be done. And secondly, you know, the department has not yet presented its annual report and its audited statements. So we cannot say that we don't accept what they have presented here today, because we actually need to see the report and find the report from the Auditor General in order to know exactly the findings. I think when you talk about not the aspersions, but this meeting is not about what we saw on the oversight. This meeting is about what has been done thus far. Are we in alignment? What have we achieved? And then we will come to the part of the auditing. The funding policy that was approved by cabinet is critical. And I think we must look at where's the funds, how's the funds being spent, and things like that. It's difficult when the minister and the deputy minister is not in a meeting like this, because one would have wanted to address them with particular issues. But let's allow for these questions that has already been raised to be answered. One of the important things for me that I want to hear is how far are we with the handing over process, or the collaborative process, or the joining of Sefa, SIDA, and the post-investment monitoring tools that's supposed to be there. I just wanted to check how far are we with that, because I've seen that CEDA has spent all its budget, and I also need to be answered about how I want to know an exact number, how much money is returned to Treasury from the department that would end its entities. I would really appreciate an answer on that, because that is worrisome in my mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable April. Do you still have other hands, Braking?
Yes, Chair, there's a hand from Honorable Jacobs.
Okay. Honorable Jacobs, over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings to everybody. I'm at the ICC with the African Business Forum. I hope I'm audible. I'm going to try to go through my questions very quickly. We acknowledge the report and thank the FIFA for this report. I share the sentiments of some of our members. I have specific questions. I mean, CIFA is dedicated to help with innovative funding facilities and credit guarantee, helping client sustainability, pre and post investment support, look at financial inclusion and wealth creation, and leverage strategic assets to ensure sustainability for its beneficiaries. It has two products, basically the lending, direct lending, and then the wholesaling lending. And direct lending is where CIFA gives direct money to prospective people, and the facilities range from 50,000 to maximum of 15 million. Wholesale is where you have micro intermediaries, and then these intermediaries intend to give. And the following is retail financial intermediaries, cooperatives, and microfinance. Now, Chair, we went to the Northwest oversight, and I think happy with what we picked up in the Northwest. There is an organization called Small Enterprise Foundation, which retails, which in the microfinance. It gets good rates, I think between 5 and 10% from CIFA, but it charges almost 29% rates interest to the people that it lends. So clearly this is not a sustainable business model, because this money is meant to, if you don't have affordable funding as a small business, you're creating more exploitation and problems than what we're trying to achieve here. So is there a way where the CIFA can manage the rate at which the intermediaries charge? I mean, I think there's another client, Telematch Financial Services, loaned a startup, Kings and Queens Hut, 2.6 million rand. But when we went to do our oversight, there was we couldn't find the Queens and Kings Hut. Do CIFA do follow-ups with once they give the loans to people, that there is actually investigation of where the sites are, because this Queens and Kings Hut was nowhere to be found. Another business, Mayekeng Meat Market, received 4.5 million, and CIFA have little to show for it, or the standards, or where it has met the health compliance. So are we just giving money to our friends, or is there a proper due diligence process around this? The other big problem was the cooler credit scheme, where it gave 10,500 to spaza shops. What we picked up was a lot of the spaza shops only got 3,500 vouchers to buy stock. And where is the other 7,000 that was allocated to them? I think that was the big challenge. Chair, my direct questions is, the townships tend to be densely populated than the rural areas. Why is there not amount allocated to townships that is less than allocated to rural areas? Are we focusing on the top 20 townships? We know where our big townships are in our country. Why isn't there a proportional funding arrangements to say that if Soweto is the biggest township in South Africa, and Mitchell's Plain or Kailicha is the 5th or 6th biggest, we proportionally spend our township budget into those areas. Then we know we're giving the real people that's real needing for this access to finance the money. Is there a bulk buying strategy for SMMEs? And please provide us with that. We need to understand how Sefa's communication strategy, communications around Kula, guarantees, because people just in Northwest think that they have to work through intermediaries and cannot access money directly from Sefa. We need answers on the King meat market and its financial situation. And what was the reason for IDC providing a moving rapid to operate in the SME wholesale lending environment to establish this SME fund? What would be the advantages and disadvantages of being absorbed by the parent company, the IDC? Also, the kings and queens situation is a big challenge. What is the response to that? And Sefa have identified development finance institutes as a big funding gap and a market failure. It's in your documents and all of those things. And there's a risk, especially for the unseen sector, the informal sector. But we're not seeing a reciprocal strategy to respond to this. Where's the strategy for the informal traders? And how can we ensure that we don't have these DFIs exploit through exorbitant rates? Can't we regulate how we lend to these DFIs? Given that possibly less than 6% of SMEs the country are supported by Sefa, is Sefa making a developmental impact? If Sefa closed shop, who will miss Sefa if, because only 6% of the SMEs are possibly getting funding from Sefa? And also what the mitigation on the load shedding we heard, but what concretely is there around that? Let me pause there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Jacobs. I'm happy we are still surviving on the issue of load shedding. Braking, do we still have any other hands?
No, Chairperson.
No other hands. I will now hand over to the leadership of the agency as well as the DG to respond to certain questions. I believe clarity seeking questions has been identified, as well as guidance has been made, more especially on the issue of resources and the issues of backup air energy, and also the issue of professionals, which we have lost about 15 of them who resigned because of uncertainty. And what is the plan of the department on this matter? I think these are the two additions which I wanted to add, but I will also summarize at the end, because I think there are certain things which I would have to guide the committee on how best are we supposed to deal with the documents before us. Yes, we're allowed to raise any other matter, but I will also assist in this regard. But let me now allow the department to respond to all those issues. Thank you. DG and your team, over to you, CEO.
For you, DG and Chairperson, let me try and respond to the questions, and thanks also for the guidance from the honorable members. Starting with the question, Chair, from Honorable Manjangosi. I just want to explain one issue, Chair and members, that we have different types of intermediaries that we work with as Sefa. And they've got different compliance requirements and regulations that they must comply with. For example, Chair and members, we have banks that are governed obviously by the Reserve Bank, and we've got the non-banking financial institutions, micro finance institutions. We also have suppliers for our supplier credit guarantee and corporates. And these intermediaries, Chair and members, they operate within different frameworks of the law. And the majority of the smaller ones really will operate within the NCA and NCR. And they are lending what we call rates are governed by the NCR as a regulator. And as Sefa, we try by all means as part of monitoring of their lending patterns, ensure that their lending is within the prescripts of the NCR and NCA. The banks on their side, they are governed by the Reserve Bank. And also, Chair, we're not saying the intermediary lending space is honky-dory. There are some challenges that we are also picking up, even though they operate, Chair, within the NCA. We do feel that we may have to find a way of subsidizing, particularly the end users of the money, beyond just them complying with the law as defined by the NCA. Also, Chair, I must say the issues around the specifics on the what we call the intermediaries that were visited, or clients that were visited by the committee through the oversight process, and there were specific challenges that were picked up. As a team, I've instructed the team to draft a detailed report that we want to serve to the portfolio committee in response to those issues. For example, the issue raised by Honorable Jacobs around the 10,500, Chair. I want to bring the committee, give the comfort that no money was stolen then, Chair. Just to briefly give the background on this 10,500. What happened, Chair? During the violence in KwaZulu-Natal and some parts of Gauteng, the department took a decision that we needed to provide that relief program under the leadership of the department. And when this process started, Chair, the amount provided was around 7,000 rands, with 3,500 being a grant and 3,500 being a loan. Due to the feedback, Chair, that we're getting from the market, the department decided to increase the facility from 7,000 to 10,500. Now, this money, Chair, is disbursed through NetBank. Why NetBank? We use NetBank because of their reach and presence in different corners of the country. And NetBank did this work, Chairperson, through what we called a closed loop debit card. Closed loop debit card is a card that the traders could only use in specified wholesalers so that people don't abuse that money and buy luxuries with it. Then the decision that we took with the bank was that for those clients who previously received the 3,500, we are going to top up their debit cards with the balance of the new increase of 7,000. And the bank then sent SMSs to these clients to notify them that your card has been credited with this additional funding. And then what we picked up, Chair, is that some of these clients who didn't know that the money is sitting in their bank accounts have changed their cell numbers. And now the SMSs that the bank was sending were not being picked up by these clients. And then we said, fine, let's also use the emails. And also as Sefa, we said, one of the interventions that we're going to put in place, Chairperson, is to go on radio, use our website, use the local, what we call community radio stations, and also your community newspapers to alert these clients that your money is indeed in your account. Go to NetBank, update your cell phone number so that you can see that the money is indeed in your debit card. But Chair, we'll provide a detailed report to that regard and working with NetBank. I want to confirm that no money was stolen. That money is sitting there. It's just that our people have a tendency of changing, Chairperson, their cell numbers, these prepaid numbers regularly. Hence, there was that gap. But as I said, Chair, that report, detailed report, is coming to the portfolio committee via the office of the minister. The issue, Chair, raised by Honorable Kruger around rental income challenges and the state of our properties. Chair, I don't want to carry the burden of the provincial development finance institutions. As someone who was with the TTI, I think around 2013, Chair, the TTI, we took a decision to refurbish these properties which were previously in the homelands, owned now by the provincial development finance institutions, to make them fit and proper for them to really operate these SMMEs. And that work, Chair, is done by the TTI and through the DBSA. And I remember, Chair, the position that was taken by the industrial parks owners, the DFIs, was that they wanted to prioritize security, i.e. fencing off these properties and having boom gates, so that you find, I'll tell you, in Limpopo, in one property, the cattle were just grazing and walking right across the park, and people just drive through the front to the back, and then they said they needed a DTI to prioritize security. As phase 1, and phase 2 was to prioritize the removal of asbestos on the roofs and replace the old oil structured what we call substations. Then, Chair, when I joined Sefa, I picked up that the Sefa properties were excluded from this support from the TTI. And we are busy now, Chair, engaging the TTI to say to them, these are the same properties that are in the rural areas, rather rural and township areas. And TTI include us in this revitalization program so that we can make our properties fit for purpose. So, Honorable Kruger, I wouldn't be sure whether the properties that you saw are Sefa properties or Mpumalanga Economic Development Agency's properties. But I can give you the comfort that we don't have properties in industrial properties in Mpumalanga. But coming back to our own properties, what we've done, Chair, we are prioritizing properties where the clients are paying, because we want to instill the discipline that you can't demand a good space when you don't want to pay for the space. So what we're doing now, which has changed the attitude of the clients, the ones that are signing the lease agreements, we start with the renovations. And now the others are beginning to see that if you're a good paying tenant and responsible SMME, Sefa will support you. We're working in Gauteng, for example, with the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency. They also put in some money to assist us in the revitalization of some of these properties. So we're trying, Chair, with all the limitations that we have budget-wise, to revitalize these properties. And we're engaging the TTI to give us access to that CIP fund, Critical Infrastructure Program of theirs. Chair, the other question was the issue that the rental that we charge, considering that the SMMEs are struggling. Our rental rate, Chair, is far below market, because we are clear in our minds that the kinds and types of clients that we're serving are not the same as your blue chip companies. So we try and negotiate with them favorable interest rates, really, or rather not interest rates, but rentals. And we start really by cost recovery, because we have to pay for the municipal rates and taxes, we have to pay for ESCOM, we have to pay for water and other services. That is a starting point that we need to ensure that we share that responsibilities with the client. Then we can start looking at some premium for Sefa now for repairs and maintenance of these properties. What is an average loan for a small business in the township vis-a-vis rural? There's no difference, if I may say, Honorable Kruger, because if you are building a spa in a rural town and you're building a spa in a township, really the key issue there is how much is land in the rural town and how much is land in a township. So that one, we apply really the same principles for direct lending, what we call customers. But if you look at microfinance, the loans there are smaller, between your 2,000 and your 20,000 for some of the clients. So really it varies for which product. Example, if you talk about the co-ops, the loan is about 2.5 million, with 70% of that being a grant and 30% being a loan. So that's the funding structure really at a high level. Without National Treasury funding, will Sefa deliver on its mandate? Chair, we always say in government, you will be provided this service subject to availability of funding. That is the starting point. Hence, we initiated the discussion with the Treasury that if really was serious as government by saying that SMMEs are going to be the driver of economic growth and job creation in this country, we need to invest money into that space. And that is the engagement, Chair, that the minister is leading with the Treasury. Yes, the Treasury did raise concerns that they are facing challenges with the wage increase. Let's give them breathing space. Then they will look at something for us. But I've got quarterly targets to deliver on. And once I reach a space where there's no money, I cannot afford to contravene the Companies Act and engage in reckless trading by approving loans, whereas I know that I don't have the money. We are continuously engaging the Treasury with the leadership of the Department of Small Business Development to mitigate that risk, Chair. The investigation of intermediaries of Sefa, Hawks, and SIU, we take corruption with this new board and leadership of Sefa very seriously. We are suspending people that we have picked up evidence that they're involved in acts of corruption. We've already hired Ernst & Young also to conduct investigations on allegations of corruption in some of our offices. And we plan to act decisively against those who will be found having actually committed this corruption. We take it very, very seriously, Chair, and there is no blind eye that is turned where we pick up that there are allegations of corruption, and we welcome, Chair, any report that says this and that other employee has been involved in corruption. We immediately institute what we call these investigations and take corrective action against those employees who are involved. So if the member maybe has some evidence where there has been a level of corruption in a particular area, we will welcome that and then take the necessary steps to deal with that. The comments, we note the comments by Honorable April, and also like to commit that as Sefa, we don't return money to the Treasury. As I'm saying that we are tight on the budget already, Chair, particularly for direct lending and for SMME lending. The only area where we are adequately funded is under the TRAP program, Chair, and also the microfinance space. But the other key lending spaces, Chair, we don't have money to return because we are tightly squeezed in that regard. Chair, I see the hand of Honorable April. I don't know if it's a legacy hand or a new one.
I leave that one for me. I will check with Braki.
Okay.
Proceed.
Then, Honorable Jacobs, do we follow up once we've funded the people in post-investment? Chair, yes, we do. Even though we had some levels of capacity challenges in our PIM, but now with our collaboration with CEDA, we are working closely with CEDA now to do these follow-ups, particularly with a view of providing post-investment support. And the question, Chair, around the township lending being less than that of the rural spaces, Chair, we will follow a percentage split on our lending. Example, in our plan, 70% of our disbursements goes to Black-owned enterprises, 45% goes to women-owned businesses, with 30% going to youth-owned enterprises, 7% to businesses owned by entrepreneurs with disabilities, and 40% to businesses based in rural and the villages, with 30% going to township-based enterprises. The split between township and rural communities is informed by the strategic emphasis to support entrepreneurs in these rural communities, where there's more difficulty in accessing finance. But as I said in my earlier introduction, Chair, the amount that we put through microfinance is the one that really pushes those numbers up. And also, microfinance is not that active in the township. It's much more active in the rural areas. I did explain the question around the 10,000 vis-a-vis the 3,500, but we will also submit that detailed report that unpacks that issue, Chair. The issue of IDC moving into wholesale space and the impact on Sefa, Chair, I don't want to speak on behalf of the shareholder because we're a subsidiary of IDC, but my assumption is that IDC is preparing themselves for the merger because post the merger, Chair, Sefa will not be, in my understanding, did you correct me? Sefa will not be a subsidiary of the IDC. Then what does that mean for IDC? Once you take Sefa out, Sefa as part of the consolidated financials of the IDC contributes close to 80,000 SMMEs and jobs. Now, once Sefa is not there, that is going to leave a big hole on the IDC's developmental stats. Then my suspicion is that they are preparing themselves for post-merger, which sadly is in competition really with the mandate of Sefa. That's my diagnosis, Chair. I don't have fact, but that's the only explanation that really I can link that to. Why not regulate how we lend to these intermediaries? We do, Chair, put caps on the interest that these intermediaries must charge, and as I said, we ensure that we don't lend to an intermediary, Chair, that does not have the NCA regulation, what we call a certificate. Anybody who lends below the 250,000 cap as regulated by the NCR, we insist that you will not get money from Sefa if you don't have the NCR certificate to ensure that you comply. And these intermediaries, Chair, by law, are required to report regularly to the NCR on their lending patterns and the interest rates that they charge. But from our side as Sefa, Chair, we've already started a discussion that says, how do we, beyond the fact that they lend within the legally regulated, what we call interest rate, I would say, how do we as Sefa now minimize further the cost of lending to the end users? It's one of the internal Chair discussions that we were engaging as a team internally, and we hope that we will be able to find a workable solution really for our end users, because our focus really is not just the intermediaries. Our focus is the end user that gets funded by the intermediary, and the other one, Chair, we on the issue of the Queen's Heart, Kings and Queen's Heart, may I request, Chair, that we provide that detailed report to the committee, because we have the facts why that happened, and we will clarify, Chair, in that detailed report that we submit to the committee, and all these other matters, Chair, that are what we call were picked up by the committee. On the issue of what is Sefa doing to mitigate the effects of load shedding, as I said, Chair, we're looking really at identifying, because the Treasury is not likely to give us money for the power purchase. Then we said, let's look at mainly the enterprises that fall within the township and rural. Let's look at funding them through TRAP, but we do that with the approval of the minister. And then there are funds, Chair, that were saved from the COVID relief program. We call them business viability. That was meant to assist businesses that were emerging from COVID. And we're saying in our discussions with the department, let us use the balance of that money to provide then funding power alternative sources of energy for backup for those enterprises that are not in the rural and township. Even though the money is not enough, but at least we believe it will give some level of protection for what you call for the enterprises that are hit by this severe load shedding. We will chair on the issue of splitting approvals and disbursements between SMMEs and co-ops. For the year 23-24 financial year, Sefa is targeting chair to approve 80 million of loan program facilities to co-ops, working with CEDA because a portion of that money will be sitting with CEDA in this new year. The plan is to disperse almost 80 to 90% of the approved amount during the financial year. That is now the work that forms part of our corporate plan, chair. The issue of what reasons has IDC provided for moving rapidly into our space, chair, is what I just responded to. That really, I suspect they are unsettled by the merger and the departure of Sefa with the massive developmental stats that we give them in their consolidated financials, chair. Chair, if I've missed up any question, I'll appreciate if I may be reminded, and I'd like to stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. I don't know whether the DG will come later. I just want to check to honorable members whether you feel you are covered or you want to do some follow-ups. What I would like to see is really to come up with some recommendations, some suggestion as the portfolio who's doing oversight. And I'm happy that issues of interest, issues of accountability has been sharply raised, which I believe as the organ who's doing oversight, we are not going to leave that one unattended. And I'm happy if the department and its agency is on course on the issue of corruption. Indeed, whoever is having any information, let us assist this government by coming up with evidence so that the relevant sector or institution can assist us to deal. We're really condemning such behavior with a high note that we don't want to see corruption. Our people are suffering on the ground, and we really not allow people to be irresponsible. We want people to discharge their duties according to law. So indeed, if there is anyone with any information, let us assist each other. We can't generalize issues, and I'm happy, Honorable April, you have assisted me that our role is to look at the document, more especially that was still waiting for the annual report again for the department. But I'm happy that you are raising those issues sharply. I'm happy to announce that some beneficiaries on the issues of the 10,000 have called me. They have requested my phone, indicating that they are so thankful the intervention we made. But my worrying factor, DG and your team, is that how many are left out in other provinces, since we have visited Northwest and we did not touch even all the districts, even in the Northwest. But that issue of 10,000, there is no one who has taken money, but to be responsible as the department, we understand is the bank which was dishing that particular amount. But to do monitoring again yourselves, because you don't just assist them and then leave them. Should we have done that, you should have picked this up before the portfolio committee goes there. So my advice or our advice as the portfolio committee is that please make some follow-ups because we're not there. All of us as the portfolio committee, we can't move around in each and every village, but yourselves, you are having offices, your officials are having resources. We were evenly worried, even the way those clients were treated. You are given a 3,500, but you are to travel for more than 50 kilometers or 100 to go and buy. No assistance from the department. Meanwhile, people have got cars into those particular areas. I think these are some of the things. I'm happy you are saying you are interested on the output, but that output, we must make sure that it has a positive impact now, because if you assist a person, you must also you must check whether that assistance is assisting properly, because we can't give them money and then at the end of the day they are frustrated and they are not getting any profit. But on records we'll claim that we have assisted so many people, but the outcome has got no positive impact. I may be into that particular area. That has been our observation as the portfolio committee, and I would like the department to improve on as much as on issues of emails, phones, radios. Yes, I will agree, but majority of our people do not have those smartphones. They don't have such a thing we call emails. So again, on that one, we need also to improve. But on the issue of intermediary, I think you have outlined it properly, where our worrying factor is the issue of high interest. We're not in agreement with that. So honorable members, I don't know whether you still have to have some follow-ups before we are disrupted by this load shedding. And then I will allow the DG to wrap up so that I can conclude this item. Braking, you'll assist me to identify hands.
Chair, there's a hand from Honorable April, and hand from Honorable Kruger.
Thank you. Honorable April, in that order, and then Honorable Kruger, and then I'll invite the DG.
Chairperson, I didn't know that we were going to go in to have the feedback with regards to the oversight that we've conducted. But since we have raised these matters, there's something that I need to bring to the attention of the portfolio committee. Not a single one of those three people that has received 10,500, not a single one has reported to us that they have received that money. I think you have exacerbated and you told us in this meeting that some have called you. I am worried that there may be thousands more who may not have called you. There was a man that came from Sefa. He introduced himself as the man in charge. He arrived with a big Range Rover wearing billionaire clothes, who, when he spoke to us, it was like he was speaking to his kids. That thing must never happen again. I have never seen the level of disrespect that I have seen, that I just can't remember his name now, but all of you know him, that one that arrived with that said he's in charge. He is not in charge. And the fact that he was in charge of a thing where people have not received the money is something that is very worrying to the portfolio committee. Chairperson, you said to us on oversight that it is not our job to be policemen. And it is indeed not our job to be policemen, Honorable the Chairperson. The police must investigate. Our job is to look where the money is. If we don't find it, the police must investigate. So we cannot come with evidence except for what we have seen with our physical eyes, that there is things that is on paper that is not actually there. We were taken to a farm somewhere where we were told that we cannot access the farm, we cannot take pictures, and the owner was not there, and it was an investment worth over 50 million rand. Those are things that concerns me. Furthermore, the Sefa report that the intermediary and able capital gave Mfuneko in Brits 2.1 million rand. The owner of Mfuneko said that they got that money at a competitive rate, and it was only 1.5 million rand that they've received. It is not only that company, but most of the companies indicated that what is being reported to us is not actual what they receive or what they've been helped with. And that, Honorable the Chairperson, is a big problem that needs to be addressed. And we need to look at what reports we receive and question it, and have the Hawks. I really support it. Let us get the Hawks to investigate what has gone wrong, so that those who may have benefited illegally be taken to task by the law enforcement agencies that we have to our in our country. I thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable April. It might be the interpretation. I think was speaking one thing, me and you, that we condemn issues of corruption. I'm supporting all honorable members as well as the department itself. They alluded to that. What I was trying to say is that instead of evidence, you are right. Anyone, I think even the CEO, that's what he said, anyone with a particular information which they might not know, let them be alerted. Not necessarily what you were saying, what we have observed. Let us come out with it so that the relevant institution can assist us, which is police and the Hawks, as you are correctly saying. So I think we are together, me and you, and also Honorable Matulela. Thank you so much, my acting chairperson. And then on the issue of those who have received money, that's why I was saying, how many we are happy about those who are indicating that we have received, but we don't know how many did not, and how are they going to discover that they have got money because of these technology and technical issues. That's what I was trying to say, that let the department do their job by monitoring, because these ones are celebrating because we have been there. What about those who have not been touched? I think that's my point, Honorable April. I believe you understand what I'm saying. We are celebrating that those who have received those 7,000, but what those we don't know. So they must be assisted. I think that's what I'm trying to say before they respond to us. But on the issue of the report, Honorable April, the culture is that once we have been there, there should be a report which is going to be compiled by the department together with our team, and it will be presented to us. That's where those issues which you are raising are going to be highlighted, because at the end of the day, we need to come up with some recommendations to the department ourselves, and we need to go and table the report in Parliament. So that's the position. So the report is still coming. Let's give them time, since they are saying they are busy. And then where we're not satisfied, we're going to say exactly, and also to condemn the behavior. You are indicating there is no one who is a boss here. The only boss here in the world is God. So no one can come and boast to us that I'm the boss. I think maybe he was joking, we don't know, but if that was the case, we are really condemning that. We need to respect each other, even ourselves, honorable members, who can't tell people that we are bosses. This is a privilege given by God to lead the country. So I'm inviting, no. Before I invite the CEO and the CEO on those follow-up and the DG, let me allow Comrade Kruger to have the last bite. Honorable Kruger, over to you.
Sorry, Chairperson, sorry to interrupt you, Honorable Kruger. May you please recognize the hand of Mr. Kumete. There's also Mr. Kumete of raised the hand, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Mr. Kruger and then Mr. Gumete.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, of course, I agree with yourself and Honorable April. And yes, we're going to get a report. Yes, for the past 8 years, we're getting reports of the same thing happen across South Africa, but it's still happening. So, Madam Chair, it's not the first time. It's not even the second time. It's not even the third time. It's for 8 years now, we hear the same story from small businesses where the reports say something else. That's what's happening on the ground, and it's the same people, doing this harmful things to small businesses. But that's not what I want to. I just want to make a general comment, Madam Chair, that apart from all those things, the red tape in SIDA is enormous. They send small businesses from pillar to post. Then, except of the application form, which is a huge problem. I mean, you need to have a degree to fill in that application form. There's also, it's not a one-stop shop, Sefa. Sefa is not a one-stop shop. You fill in a form, then they come back to you. Sometimes they don't even come back to you. You need to phone them and say, listen, what happened to my proposal? And then the proposal, the application is gone, and so on. And then they say, no, you need to submit this. Then they keep quiet for a while again. And then you come phone them again and say, listen, please, what happened to my application? Oh, no, we still need this. Didn't Mr. So-and-so contact you about this? So it's very frustrating for small businesses. And most of the time, when a small business wants to take up a loan, either for a startup or to expand his business, they need the money now, not in a year's time, not in 2 years' time. I can give you examples of people waiting now for the past, I will say, 5 years, waiting for finance from Sefa, where Sefa never told them no or say no. They always there's always a new, something new that they must hand in. So Sefa really, and I understand the DG, when he talks about red tape, there's always a plan, but there is not a plan reducing red tape or red tape reform in South Africa at the moment. It's a problem, and Sefa is one of those problems. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kruger, but I will appreciate, because the role of the portfolio committee is also to guide. So whatever we see as a stumbling block, let's come also up with some suggestions. I believe it will assist the department moving forward. So let me call our content advisor, Gumede, to say something, and then I will request the CEO as well as the DG. Then I will close the meeting. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hope I'm audible.
You are
Chair,
audible.
Okay, thank you very much. Chair, a quick one from me on the issue of the strat plan and the APP vis-a-vis the budgets. I think I'm covered on that one. I've just read the APP, I've done the high-level reading. I won't have specific questions to answer, except maybe what Honorable Kruger asked. I think it was Honorable Kruger asked earlier on whether Sefa is a going concern. And if National Treasury is not coming to the party, what's then going to happen moving forward? I presume the allocation is still done via IDC. That's the assumption. Then moving to the Northwest Oversight Chairperson, it will just maybe we need to align our activities with the Sefa, because you'll recall, Chairperson, that we had a discussion during Menko yesterday where we, for example, juggled the program of the portfolio committee to bring forward the session that we are planning with some intermediaries like Brighton Capital, IntelliMatch Financial Services, etc. As a result, Chairperson, I'm drafting a letter for the attention of the Minister to request additional information from the entities that we are inviting to appear before the committee. That's one aspect. Then the second aspect, Chairperson, it's the report that we are required to produce as a portfolio committee, which the committee shall consider and for referral to the National Assembly for a further debate. In terms of that report, Chairperson, one other thing I identified yesterday was to say, to avoid having gaps in our reports, we need a complete information from Sefa. Now, I hear the CEO is referring to a report that is being drafted by the agency. Maybe for me, just to check, Chairperson, how long will that report be referred to the committee, so that maybe during MENC we take a decision whether we park our report temporarily while waiting for that CIFA report, or we should just go ahead with our own report. It's just to get an indication from the CEO, when would that report be referred to a portfolio committee? Maybe it will assist in terms of asking some of the questions that we trying to grapple with in terms of our report. I thought I should just take that advantage, Chairperson, to ask those questions. And let me pause there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sbu. I think you are in order. What needs to happen is to guide them on the time frame, because we really need to present it, since we are going to do oversight in other provinces. So we don't want to delay. So maybe it's to guide them on the time frame. Maybe the CEO can assist us on that one. I agree with you, but I don't think that it will be wise to have your report with those gaps. It won't assist the portfolio committee. So CEO and then DG, so that I can close the matter. Thank you.
Thank you to the members for the feedback and guidance. Sefa, let me finish off with the content advisors questions, or start off, Chair, sorry. Sefa will be a going concern, even though we make a loss, and we prepare our budget without considering the treasury funding. The only snag is that we will not have enough money to lend to SMMEs, which is our core mandate. As a going concern, yes, we will be a going concern. But what drives us is our ability to respond to our mandate by providing access to finance to SMMEs. The report, Chair, I'll appreciate if the content advisor can just give us the timelines when he would like us to finish the report, except to say that the work that we've done, Chair, on our side is 90%. My only concern was that we didn't want Chair to finish the report without getting the inputs from the Parliament side. But if he can give us timelines, we will respond, Chair, accordingly. The issue of the application, Honorable Kruger, process being complicated. Last year, we launched a loan origination system, which was designed really to assist and empower the clients to take control of the application processes. And that system stores your information. Even if you go away for 3 months, once you log in with your details, it pulls up your information. We had some glitches when the system started, being actually the capacity and other related issues. Now we are improving that system and also trying to simplify it so that we make it easy for applicants. We don't take email applications anymore, because once you take email applications, you are creating room for corruption, because those email applications are going to start overtaking the ones that are already in the queue. So the system makes it a point that if you are number 10, you are number 10. You can't come in as number 10 and tomorrow you are number 1. So we refuse now to take those email applications. We are trying to nudge our people towards using the system, and also to assist really in improving the turnaround times for our clients. The issue, Chair, of let me apologize, Chair, by the arrogance that was showed by the Sefa employee there. I can commit that it was not me. I don't even afford a Range Rover. But I will deal with that, because we can't tolerate arrogance as public servants, really. One will attend to that. But On the report, so please, if you can just give us the timelines when you want so that we don't delay the work of the committee and then we'll comply. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to members.
DG, do you have anything to add? If you don't, just indicate to me. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. It's nothing much, just 2 points on the issue of stability of the entities as raised by the CEO. I think it's something that we are addressing. We supposed to have another meeting soon to finalize what interim arrangements we can put in place. And also we do have a structure that is now going to assist with communication as well as change management, because there could be information gaps as well in the process, which increase the anxiety from the side of employees. So we are putting measures in place to make sure that at least there is clarity in terms of what we are doing and as well as the timelines. And then on the issue of the collaboration between two entities, Chair, I think it's something that we are pushing, especially after the oversight visit. We identified a gap there because most of the people definitely who were funded are not receiving post-investment support, of which some of it can be offered through CEDA, which has a wider reach than Sefa. So it's something that we've started engaging on with these two CEOs so that there is clear handover in terms of those people who have been funded, so that we can follow up and make sure that the investment that has been made by government through Sefa is protected by offering proper post-investment support. Chair, we are also aligned, I think, with the committee in terms of dealing, with whatever manifestation of corruption as quickly and swiftly as possible. So the entity has indicated to Minister in some instances where they are doing investigations. So there is transparency from the side. So even in these matters that have been raised here, they will be dealt with accordingly. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Thanks, honorable members, for your wisdom. It's going to build this department. Will rely on you. I think, Sbu, you will liaise with the DG on the issue of timelines as indicated. Ours will be to make sure that we're on track and the department is accountable before us. So I'm requesting anyone to move for the adoption of the presentation as recommended by the CEO before us. Just shout even if you don't raise up your hand so that we move with speed before load shedding disrupt us. Myself, I've started experiencing problems because I don't have electricity as I'm speaking. Honorable members, can you hear me?
We hear you, Chairperson.
Yes, I'm saying let's move for the adoption of this report. The
It seems like you
recommendations.
didn't hear me. Sorry, Chair. I said I move for the adoption. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, my acting chair. Any seconder, honorable members?
I second, Chair.
Thank you, honorable. The recommendation has been duly adopted by the portfolio committee. Can we go back to our program, our agenda, Bracken? Bracken, can you take us through, whether it's you or Sbu, I don't know, on the progress on international study tour preparations?
I'm not sure where Bracken is, Chair, but Chair, maybe I can start. King will then come in when we discuss the issue of the logistics and protocol related activities. But Chair, in terms of the requirement by Parliament is that we should develop a concept note, not a research paper or an academic document, just a concept note to indicate that the portfolio committee intends visiting a particular country. And in terms of that, we should state the reasons why we want to go there. We also should state the entities, association or federations that we intend to visit. I believe Mr. Gunene has circulated that concept note to members of the committee. It's a living document, honorable members. It is subject to your contribution as well. For instance, we have highlighted 5 entities that we would want to visit, in Germany. Members are welcome to make a contribution or suggest any other entities that they would want us to visit in Germany, over and above those that we have highlighted. Braking, can you give me hosting rights or sharing rights? Sorry. I just want to quickly show the members what exactly I'm talking about. Okay, honorable members, this is the document that Mr. Gunene would have circulated to all of you. In terms of the companies or federations that we intend to visit, one would be, for instance, the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, particularly the SMME Advisory Board. In German term, it's called Mittelstandsrat. Chair, some of you will know or are aware, for instance, that in terms of our own Small Enterprise Act, there is a proposition that the SMME Advisory Board should be created. It hasn't been created up to so far, so it would be good for the committee to go there and see what this particular SMME Advisory Board is busy with in Germany. There is also a federation or association of SMMEs. It's called the German Mittelstand that we plan to visit. There is also a cooperative apex body in Germany. Loosely, it's called DGRV. They have presence in South Africa, and we are in discussion with them to also help us make our visit there in Germany a success. There is the National Association of German Cooperative Banks, or BVR. It's equivalent of what used to be called in South Africa NACFISA, the National Association of Cooperative Banks, which currently does not exist. Then there will be a visit to the cooperative banks themselves, maybe 1 or 2, the sample, almost similar to what we did in Spain when we visited Mondragon. Then the last one will be the visit to the small enterprises and cooperatives supplying energy to the grid. It called the Stadtwerke. These ones are very active, Chairperson, and in this space. I'm sure Honorable Kruger, having written a piece on a business day towards the end of last year, will be very much interested in this one. So that's why we are, Chairperson. In terms of the content work, we are busy working with the DGRV. We also, through the communique that we have drafted for your signature, to the attention of the ambassador there in Germany, Honorable Stone Sizani, also trying to solicit the assistance from the embassy, not only in terms of developing the content, also in terms of making sure that in terms of a protocol, in terms of the logistics, the ground transport, etc., the delegation is well taken care of. So I think that's where we are, Chair. Braking, I'm not sure if maybe in terms of the content there is anything that I'm leaving behind, but maybe you can come in then if there is any any important area that I've left behind. Thanks, Chair. Let me pause there.
Thank you. Thanks, Mo. Braking, is there anything you would like to add? On the issue of the letter, I have already signed. Just forward it, Mo. It was the issue of network which was troubling me yesterday, but I've signed it. Maybe it can, King, if you can also add the issue of official passport. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Well, Mr. Kumete has captured 80% of the work in terms of the content. The only thing from the content, after all these things have been put together, then we'll be able to develop a program. It will be just a program and the structure of how the visit will take place, meaning that from where do you land, where do we start, and how do we end up there? How do we end up the visit? Then, Chairperson, in terms of the date, I'd like to state here that we had identified the date from the 18th till the 24th of June, meaning that leaving on the 18th and then coming back on the 24th of June. But these dates, they are subject to availability being guided by the embassy and also approval from the office of the House Chairperson. But these are the dates that we had suggested, though they fall within the first week of the constituency period for Parliament. Then secondly, we're still in progress with putting together the application, because the application to the House Chairperson, it has to indicate the date, it has to indicate the program of the committee, it has to indicate where do we start, where do we end, it has to indicate all the quotations that are involved, meaning that for the logistic flights, accommodation, and ground transport, that they'll come up with the total estimated cost of the undertaking. Then the only thing that might have just delayed us now, Chairperson, is that we were relying initially we were doing all this preparation, we were being assisted by DECO. But last week we received a communique to say DECO it's no longer giving those services to all government departments, and which put together even Parliament. So now for the logistics, then we have to do it out from ourselves. So hence then we have then to start afresh and look at how are we sourcing the quotation for the ground transport. That is where then it is imperative that we engage with the embassy so that we can be able to get a proper direction of how should we plan the program that will then inform the sourcing of all those logistics arrangement. So that's where we are. The lastly, Chairperson, as we'll be going out, we normally go with official passports for study tours. So I'll just find out from members whether they have official passport. If not, then we shall make an endeavor to meet in Cape Town, because normally we are assisted by the International Relations section of Parliament in facilitating the issuing applying for official passport, which from the previous experience, which was not taking more than a week, their turnaround time. So we'll check how many are they and which date can we put aside so that we can facilitate it as a group for the smooth running of those applications. So those are the things that's how we are for now, Chairperson, in preparation for the study tour. Last but not least, when making an application, normally we do make an application for all members of the committee. However, we minus the members who are alternatives. More than that, then we just get a directive from the office of the House Chairperson in terms of the number of members that must form a delegation. I should think that is what the question was asked by Mr. Kruger. So normally, after we've put together the application, we get that directive from the office of the House Chairperson, whether should all members go or should be given a certain number, which works out according to the formula that they normally give us, that how should be the committee represented. So those are the inputs, or these are our submissions on progress that have been made in preparation for that study tour, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have seen on chat, there is a chat from Mavisa. Can we give her an opportunity to say something? Mavisa.
Good morning, good afternoon, Chairperson, good afternoon, members and colleagues. Yes, Chair, I made the suggestion. I had also, when Usbu was talking about content, I had also made the suggestion that let us also go and visit an all-women-led energy cooperative in Germany, because we know that our development finance institutions are also struggling to support many women-owned cooperatives. So it will help us. It will also be good, and it will help us to learn more about how to help women-led businesses to be part of this sector, the renewable energy sector. Chairperson.
Thank you. I believe SBO will take it into cognizance, and then they will deal with it at that level. But we appreciate your input. Thank you so much. Any other take by honorable members, clarity seeking question or guidance on the preparations to Germany? Yes.
I would just like to say that, you know, all of us who have sacrificed to go to oversight on Northwest, those are the people that must go again. We must leave this other members of DA, we must leave them behind, because they want to go into international trip, but they don't want to go between our people. I'm just saying it straight out there, Chair.
I think Honorable April is out of order, because he don't know why didn't we go to Northwest. I had to go oversight with agriculture. So, you know,
don't take it personal. Honorable Kruger will allow the rules of the House.
He don't know what to say. Then he say
No. It's fine, Honorable Kruger. Let's take what Braking has told us, that the administration is going to make those applications to the House Chair, and then the House Chair will advise in terms of the rules. So don't take that one serious. He's joking. Thank you. If there is no any other question or guidance, can we close this matter and call it a day?
Thank you, Chairperson. Kruger says he's not going.
You and Kruger will deal with the issues outside this meeting. So if there are no any other hands.
Honorable Chair, you haven't heard my voice. Now you hear my voice. Honorable Chair.
Oh, thank you, my last born. I believe you are not affected by what Honorable April is saying. Thank you so much.
No. Honorable House Chair, it is Alzama's 16th birthday today. So Honorable April must please sing happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay, happy
Aljama.
birthday,
Happy birthday,
happy birthday, my
Aljama.
son.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Thank you
birthday
very much.
to
You made my day. You
you.
made my day.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Chair.
may God bless
Okay.
you and grant you more years. We still
Recording
need your
stopped.
wisdom in this country. Thank you
Okay.
so
Thank
much,
you,
honorable
Honorable Chair.
members. Thank you, honorable members. Let's call it a day. It has been a wonderful meeting. The meeting stand adjourned.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chairperson. Let's meet tomorrow again for CEDA and the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, DG.
Ebra King,
Hello, ma'am.
why you make me wait longer in that waiting room?
My apologies, bengisawuchitha amanzi lesikhathi kanti wena uyangena.
Hey, yena uthengiwe.
Le message ingena ngale ngichitha amanzi manje ish ene yenzeka kuwe. Ngoba ngiyazi uhlala uqala ukujoin uhlala uqala ukujoina. My apologies.
Ngingena very early. I don't know why you didn't admit me.
Bosolo ungakaveli leso sikhathi.
Mina ke kulokuthi angilinde. Kulokuthi angilinde. Ngingene ngo 9:20.
Actually bekuyini bengaveli ngapha. Ivele lesikhathi seyiqalile meeting ya. After ngitholele le message bese iqalile meeting ngoba even after no chairperson were checking on her ngaboma 25 to solo simele yena naye bekanengxaki nyana.
Oh, okay. No, department must not present here without the minister tomorrow. This thing now we're going to stop them now. The department without the minister, we are stopping them now. We're sick and tired. It's only us in this portfolio committee that are so much soft in such a way that we are sharing. Thanks, Bragi.
I reserve my comments.
Yeah, my chair is there. I think it's going to note.
It's for politicians. Okay, man.
Wena ufuna kubite nala kungana nyama khona uzalimala amazinyo. Mina I'm allowing you to bite and bite and bite, but senina hey ufuna kubite my bones where there is no meat. You must bite. Ngubulele namhla.